Welcome back everybody. Today we are doing paper 3 of the November 2024 Edexcel GCSE Maths Higher Tier paper. Let's jump straight in. Right, statistics is our favourite way to start a table. So frequency polygon, we always plot in the middle of the width. So you plot at 130, 150, 170, sorry that 5 was awful, 190 and 210, which, yeah, so all the class widths are the same width, that's good. So we'll plot here, 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 and here. So we plot at 12. We plot at 28. We plot at 30. We plot at 22. And we plot at 8. And then we join these points up dot to dot with a nice ruler. However, I'm not going to because waste of time. You don't need to see me draw stuff points together with a line. I'm hoping you don't need me to teach you how to do that. And if you do, find a better video than this one. Okay, so easiest way to do these without mucking up, 3.402, chuck a pile of zeros, and remember this just means move the decimal points 5 spots, and it's getting bigger, so we're moving the decimal point to the right. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so this is 340,200. So, yeah. In standard form, you only want one digit beyond in the units place, and everywhere else is just backed into a decimal point, so we only need to move it once, and we're moving it to the right, so we're making this number bigger than it actually is. So it's saying 0.026 times 10 to the minus 1. So figure out how many points the decimal place is moving, and then figure out whether you've made that number bigger or smaller. That's all you have to do there. Okay, so I'm not sure I can actually show you how to do this one, but you'd stick your needle in point B. You would do your compass like that, and you'd get a point here. You then do your compass again, and you get a lovely ruler here that goes like that. Pretend that's a circle. And then you stick your compass here, and you get another lovely thing like that. And then you draw a line connecting up these 3 points. So those are the construction lines you'd need. Please in your exam actually use a compass. Okay. Right, question 4. So if the probability that he wins is 0.7, the probability he loses is 0.7. Or if he wins it's 0.3, if he loses is therefore 0.7. So this must be 0.7. This must be 0.7. This is 0.3. And this is 0.7. And this is 0.3. There we go. Wasn't that easy? Now, what's the probability that he doesn't win either game? Well, that will only be this branch here, because every other branch, well, it goes off this way, so there's a win, or it goes off this way, so there's a win. So we only need to do this one down here. So we're doing 0.7 times 0.7, because we times along the branch, and we get 0.49, like that. Okay. Ooh, interesting. Bit of a pain, but it's fine. Okay, so first things first, let's work out how many pens and pencils Robin has. So that adds up to 8 totally. So like for every set we get 8. So how many sets essentially have we bought of 3 and 5? So yeah, just kind of assume in your head she's bought a set that has 3 pens and 5 pencils. There's 240 in total. So 240 over 8 gives you 30. So she's got 90 pens and 150 pencils. So that's how we're going to start this. She's paid 9p for each pen, which means she's paid 180p for pens. And she pays 11... No, there's an easier way to do that. No, there's not actually, my apologies. And then for each pencil she pays 6p, so we times this by 6 to get 900 pence in pencils paid. Make sure you don't mess up which number's which. Then what we're going to do, we then have how much she sold for. So that would be 90 times 11 plus 150 times 10. So she's made £15 on the pencils, and she's made £9.90. Sorry, I know I've changed from pence to... So you're going to have to stick with me there. Okay, so that would make £24.90. And this just adds up to £17.10. You can use your calculator, but I think it will just slow me down here. And then here we say, okay, well, percentage profit, she started on that. She's now on this. That's all you've got to do. And then you want to... that's kind of relevant. And then we type that into our calculator. Remember, when we type things into our calculator, we've got a really good chance of going wrong when we type things in. So be really careful at that point, because it's the most painful way you can possibly lose marks. So this is equal to 1.456. And then correct to one decimal place. Ignore the 1 because that's just telling you it's an increase. So it's a 45.6% increase. There we go. Moving on. Okay. So we want to basically compare school A with school B. So this is the data we've got about school B, so we want that same data from school A. So first things first, let's work out the range of A. Well, the range was from 79, that's our highest, to 30, which was our lowest, which gives us 49 range. So our range of A is slightly higher. So there's a bigger distribution, essentially. And the median score of school B was 56. And yeah, there's 23 students, which means we're looking for, okay, well, 23 is 11.5. So you can have 11 either side, essentially, 1 in the middle. We're looking for the 12 students. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Be careful if you're going to cross all these off, because it's a pain if you can no longer read the numbers. But I've got a good rabbit here, so I can do what I want. Which means the median score was 57. Range of A higher, median A higher. You might want to give the numbers and give the differences, but that's all you've really got to do. Yeah, so you might want to say by 1, the range, by 2, and by 1. I think that's all you've got to do to get those nice 4 marks. Easy question, lovely. Okay. Right, so calculators truncate. We know to calculators truncate, which means this could be from anywhere from 10.200 exactly to 10.299999, so 9 recurring, which means 10.3 essentially, which is why this isn't the same inequality sign. So we go from 10.2 to 10.3. Okay, this is just a little trig question. We're looking for AB, which is this one here. The hypotenuse is this side. We're not looking for the hypotenuse, so therefore we're using tan. So tan of 62. So soccer, Torah, opposite over adjacent. It's AB over 7.6. So 7.6 tan 62 is what we're typing into our calculator, and that's our final answer. So 7.6 tan of 62. See what I mean? Easy to type in the wrong thing and get a horrible answer. 1 decimal place, so that is 14.3. Okay, so just collect like terms. We've got 2 and 7, 14. X cubed, x squared, that's x to the 5 because we just add powers. Y to the 5, y to the 1, that's y to the 6. All we have to do. When we have powers in brackets of each other, we do in fact times them together, so that would be m to the minus 6. Okay, well, if prices are reduced by 0.15, we take 1 and then we minus 0.5 off it. So this is equivalent to timesing it by 0.85. Which means if it's worth that much, we have price times 0.85 equals 46.75. So we then divide this by 0.85 to find the normal price of the dress. So 46.75 divided by 0.85, we get 55. And we move on. If the sector has a perimeter of 34.3, we can rewrite this as what the whole circumference would be, so what this little missing bit is. So it would be equal to 2 pi r plus 2r minus the missing bit. And we want to work out what the missing bit is, so we'll calculate what the missing bit is. Remember, r is 4.7, so we'll just type that into our calculators, so we get what 0.7 is. 2 lots, or 2r lots even, 2 4.9 lots of pi plus 1. I'm just factoring things to try and make it quicker. I don't really think it's helping, but it's never a bad time to practice your factorising, which gives us the missing bit is equal to 6.287. We then do circumference minus the missing bit over circumference, and we times that by 360, because this gives us the fraction of what is there to what isn't there, which gives us the fraction of what is there over 360. But we just times it by 360, so we get the whole angle. So we then take this number, we take whatever 2 pi r is again, 2 pi 4.7 minus answer, and then we divide that by 2 pi 0.7, and then we get times that by 360 to get this is equal to 283. Yeah, they wanted it to nearest degree, so I can just ignore the rest because it's 0.3. Okay. So this is compound interest, so it compounds, that's quite nice. 4,500 times 1.0, that would be 20%, so this is 2%, 4%, times 1.018. Extra year, this is 3 years, 1 year, 2 years, so we square that. Just type that into your calculator, okay. 1.024 times 1.018 squared. Again, you've got to be so careful when you're typing this into your calculator. Yeah, we should probably do this to the nearest penny, so 0.38 really. Okay. Interesting, okay. So we have... Yeah, so we have the car, it's worth this much. We are then saying, okay, well, we now have our percentages decreasing by y every year. It's 2 years, so it's y squared. And that's equal to 4107. So we then go and say, okay, so y equals 4107 over 7500. And you might be asking, hang on, we're talking about x, why have you shoved it as y? Y is going to be a value, it's just going to be a little decimal, we're then going to convert y into x. So we do the square root of 4107 over 7500 to get that y equals 0.74. So that's the amount that it keeps after each year, which means the amount it loses after each year is 1 minus this amount, which gives us 0.26. So it's a 26% decrease. So x is 26. Okay. Ooh, an interesting question. Okay, so what's the area of a trapezium? It's a plus b times half times height. So that's what we need to work out, essentially. So we have BE. They give us A already. They give us CD. Again, very nice of them. and they give us AC, which is that whole length here. 10.8. So this is a similar shapes question. So from the smallest shape to the biggest shape, what's the increase? We have 6.3 over 4.2 is increase, which equals, type it into your calculator, 6.3 over 4.2 equals 3 over 2. Very nice, okay. Which means, yeah, we need BC. That's the only value we still need. So if we work out AB, we can then get BC. So if we divide 10.8, divide that by 3.2, we get what AB is. So 10.8 divided by 3 over 2 gives us 7. AB equals 7 over 2. Well, 7.2, sorry. Which means 10.8 minus 7.2 equals 3.6. So this is 3.6. We're now just plugging in the numbers, okay? So we have A plus B is 10.5 over 2 times 3.6. Time that into our calculator for our final answer, and we get 18.9. Have we got the right trapezium? Dum, 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 dum. Yes, we do. Okay, moving on. Okay, 2 digits. Right, so remember we set this to an x equals thing. So we have x equals 0.462. How many digits repeat? 2. So we times x by 100. 100x equals 46.26262, yada, yada, yada. Take this x off that. Sorry, I've written this horribly. And we get 99x equals, okay, well, this all cancels, which is very good. 45.8. So x equals 45.8 over 99. We then need to times that by 100, 10 essentially, to get it nice. And then if I just plug that into my calculator, it should hopefully drop out to 229 over 495 as they required. Great, moving on. Okay, again, not too hard. We can do this. So we get t of 5 minus 2p. So we just bring out the denominator equals, again, we'll expand this bracket while we're there, 4p minus 6. So 5t minus 2pt equals 4p minus 6. Put all the p's on the same side. So we get 5t plus 6 equals 4p plus 2pt. Take out a p. So we get 5t plus 6 equals p lots of 4 plus 2t. 5t plus 6 over 4 plus 2t equals p. Great. Next question. Have a look at it, we'll figure out our strategy, and then we'll see where we're going from this. So we'll start by marking on what we know. This is O, so it's at the origin, 0.00. B is 2 minus 4, and we'll take that off so we know we've seen it. And then we've got 12 minus 6.5 here. And that's all the information they give us, which doesn't feel like very much. So what's our strategy? Okay, well, let's call this line OB L1. Let's call this line L2. And let's call this line L3. And, well, we can get what L1 is because we've got 2 points. We can then get what L2 is because we can get the gradient from knowing it is perpendicular to L1, and then we have a point on it. So that's all we need. And then C, well, we know it's got the same gradient as L1 because these two are perpendicular, and we've got a point, so we can get that line. We can then figure out what point C is using the intersection of L2 and L3, and then we can work backwards, knowing whatever C is, if we minus 2 and add 4 to the x and y coordinate, essentially, we get back to D, because it's the same as OB and, and C and D. So let's do this. This shouldn't take too long. Okay, L1 equals... Okay, well, it goes through the origin, so this is going to be a y equals y over x. It's minus 4 over 2, x equals minus 2x. That's it. That's L1 sorted. Okay, so L2 is going to be y equals a half x, because they have to times to make -1. And a half times -2 is -1. We plus c. We know this goes through the point 2 minus 4, so let's add that in. -4 equals 1 plus c. So c equals -5 here. So y equals x over 2 minus 5. That's L2. Now we have L3. And L3 is going to equal, again, it's the 2x, or the -2x we had before, plus some c, and then we sub in our point of 12 minus 6.5, so it would be -24 equals -6.5, so we would get c equals, what would c equal? Plus 17.5. And then set these two lines equal to each other. So when is x minus, need L2 equals L3. So if they're both equal to y, so we can just say x over 2 minus 5 needs to equal -2x plus 17.5. Again, let's move everything over. We get 5x over 2 equals 22.5. 5x equals 45. X equals 9. Well, this is, again, it's on both of these lines. What line's simpler to use? Probably L2 here. So L2, y equals 9 over 2 minus 5. Y equals -1/2. Look at the graph. Does that make sense? Yeah, it would make sense for it to be below the origin. So we have c equals 9 minus 1/2. And then it's the same way to get from B to O as it is to C to D. So we take 2 off x and we add 4 to y, which gives D equals, is it 2 off x? Yeah, 2 off x. 7, and then -1/2 plus 4 would be -1/2 plus 4 is 3.5, which would be 7 over 2. There we go, moving on. Yet another geometry question, but it's only 4 marks, that's not too bad. So, we need an angle, okay? That's what we need here. So we're going to need to use the cosine rule, which is a squared equals b squared plus c squared, Pythagoras, with the addition of the -2bc cos of a. Really doesn't matter which one we use. I'm going to give this one to be, we're going to use this one. So if this is B, or no, sorry, this will be A. You're right, sorry. So this means 7.9 squared has to equal 18.2 squared plus 14.6 squared minus 2, 18.2, 14.6 cos of A. We'll rearrange this to find what A is, which can't be that hard, surely. 7.9 squared minus 18.2 squared minus 14.6 squared divided by -2 times 18.2 times 14.6, close bracket. Good check here, your answer should be between, well, -1 and 1, I guess. And then we do inverse cos. Make sure your calculator's in degrees. So there should be a little D on your calculator to get A equals 24.9. We then use our formula to get the area of a triangle, half AB sine of the angle between them, essentially. Which will give us 0.5 times, well, the A I'm using here. Sorry, I haven't been consistent. 14.6 times 18.2. 14.6 times 18.2 times sine of 24.9 would give us 55.96. What did they say? They wanted it to 3 significant figures. Okay, well this rounds up, so this is equal to 56.0. Nice, moving on. Okay. So basically, of all the frogs in the lake, we know that 40 over total have tags, essentially. So, yeah, any frog you catch essentially has that probability of being caught. So if you catch 55, you can take a guess based on how many you do, really. It's not too bad. So, essentially, well, on Monday, 11 over 55 of the frogs, which is just 1 over 5. 1 over 5 frogs have tag. Okay, which would then mean that suggests that she tagged on Saturday. She tagged a fifth of the frogs, because we've got the frogs at random. So a fifth of the frogs is 40. So if we times that by 5, we get all of the frogs is 200. And our assumption is that all the frogs disperse evenly, I suppose. That being tagged doesn't increase your chance of being caught again the next day. You can write that nicer than I can, but that's your rough idea, really. So, they give us the surface area. We want to work out height. So let's try and put everything in terms of HR height, okay? So we have, in terms of radius, the radius is 3/4 of height. So R equals 3h over 4. And then we have the surface area. So what's the surface area? The surface area equals 54 pi equals, well, the circle, which is just going to be pi r squared, plus pi rl. Is it pi rl? Yeah, it's pi rl. Okay. Cancel out those pi's. And then we worry about this L term, because what are we going to do with the L? We can put R in terms of H. What about L? Let's think about this. This is R. This is H. So we can use Pythagoras. L squared equals H squared plus R squared. As we said, R squared is 3h over 4, so that's h squared plus 9h squared over 16. Which says L squared equals 25h squared over 16, so L equals 5 over 4h. So that's not too bad, really. Okay, so we now have 54 equals R squared. R is 3/4, that's again 9 over 16h squared plus RL, so that's 3/4 times 5 over 4. So that would be 15 over 16. Use your calculator for this. Don't try and pull a me. I'm awful at these things. Which gives us 24 over 16 h squared equals 54. 24 over 16, that's just 3 over 2. So 54 equals 3 over 2 h squared. So that's 108 equals 3h squared. 36 equals h squared. We know it's got to be positive because it's a length, so h equals 6. So again, this is simultaneous equations. We want to make one the subject and sub it into the other because they've got other powers, or they have varying powers, which means it's not exactly easy to take one off the other. So we get y equals 7 minus 2x. We then sub this in. 7 minus 2x squared equals 3x squared plus 4. 49 minus 28x plus 4x squared equals 3x squared plus 4. X squared minus 28x plus 45 equals 0. I can't immediately see what that's going to factorise to, so we're going to use the quadratic formula. X equals minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And we get up a calculator, we type that in, and what do we get? We get 18 plus the square root of 28, sorry. Typed it in all wrong, sorry. Plus square root of a 28 squared minus 180 all over 2. So we get 14 plus or minus 151. So the positive root of that gives us x equals 28.3 to 3 significant figures. Got to check that. We then sum it in to get 7 minus 2x gives us y equals minus 45.6. When we have 14 minus root 151, x equals 1.71, which gives us a y of, what does it give us? 3.58. Easy, moving on. Maybe box them off so we know which two work together actually. Moving on, okay. Well, when the minus side is outside, you're flipping in the x-axis. We change all the y coordinates. So that's 3 up, so this is 3 down. That's 3, not that one. That's 2 down, so this is 2 up. Origin stays the same. 3 up, 3 down, and then stays the same. Again, please use a ruler. I'm not going to because I don't want to. It's a waste of my time. But you're sitting the exam, so it's really not a waste of yours. There you go. Moving on. Okay. So our x-coordinate will be, we just take off 180 because it's when you add here, you take it off because it's moving left. And then the y-coordinate we're going to add 4 onto. So, okay, what's p? It's the turning point. It's the downwards turning point, which means x equals 270. And it's the downwards turning point, so y equals minus 1. As I said, we now take 180 off x to get 90. And we add 4 to y to get 3. Easy. Moving on. Right, okay. What is this question asking? Okay, we've got speed distance graph and distance, so we're working out the area under this curve. 30 seconds, not 35, so we start here. So yeah, be really careful about that. 3 strips of equals width, so 10 and 20. So we'll make a triangle and 2 trapeziums, I guess. So A1 is the triangle, so that's 10 times a half times, what's that going to be, 54? Yeah, 54. And A2 is again going to be the 10 times a half, so that's just going to be 5 times whatever these two things added are together, 54 again, 54 plus 76, and then A3 is just going to be 5 times 76 plus, right up here, 92. Sorry about that. Way out the way. It's 92, wasn't it? Yeah, that's 92. So we get our calculator, and we just type that into our calculator. So I'm just going to speed this up by saying 5 lots of 54 plus 54 plus 76 plus 76 plus 92, which then gives us 1760. Check our units. We've got, so this is going to be in meters because we've just timed meters per second by second, so we just get meters. Yep, and that's in meters, so we're done. Okay. Final question. Okay, we're so close. So the first thing we need to find out is the turning point and the coordinates of the intercept with the y-axis. Okay, so when we cross the y-axis, x is 0, which means y equals minus 7. That's one point we need on the graph. And the other point is the turning point. To find the turning point, we complete the square. So x squared minus 6px minus 7. Complete the square, we get x minus 3p squared minus 9p squared minus 7. So this bit's going to vary. The smallest this bit, because it's squared, is ever going to be is 0. It's always going to be positive. So our minimum value is this, and then we'll get positives either side of it. So our turning point is going to be when x is 3p, and y equals minus 9p squared minus 7. So, well, we know that p is positive, which means our turning point is going to be over here, shall we say, and the y-intercept is here, and then we just draw our graph. Yeah, so we need our coordinates, so 0 minus 7, and 3p, minus 7 minus 9p squared. Double check. Yeah, that's everything we need, and we're done. Please subscribe if you like the video, really helps out.